Why Kids Need to Know How to Cook and More, episode 583. Today's sponsor is the U.S. Toyota Dream Car Art Contest. Stay tuned at the end of this show to learn how students in the United States can enter this inspiring contest and get lesson plans to design a dream car that makes the world a better place.
The 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with Vicki Davis. Every weekday, you'll learn powerful, practical ways to be a more remarkable teacher today.
So today we're talking to Andrea Moore from Iowa. And Andrea, you are a family and consumer sciences and health teacher, and it's fascinating. My pastor had forwarded an article not too long ago that a lot of schools were bringing back cooking classes, all of these life skills, because there's so many kids who don't have them. What kinds of things are you teaching your students in these topics?
I teach a variety of classes. I teach at a small school district, and so I teach 7 different subjects. And I teach a food and nutrition 1 and 2, and then an advanced culinary class. I also teach textiles class, which we discuss fibers and fabrics and sewing. I teach housing and interiors. I also teach junior high family consumer sciences to both my 7th graders and 8th graders. So I teach a wide variety of topics. Hopefully I didn't forget one.
What you're teaching is very practical and real world, would you say?
I would definitely say it is one of the most practical and real world subjects in school. And I get to incorporate a lot of, you talk about engaging, foods class especially, always total 100% engagement when we're having our food lab. Students really get a lot out of reading skills, math skills, cooperation, collaboration skills. So it's a great way to kind of utilize even critical thinking, a lot of the 4 C's of education. So
now your certification is English and literature, and you ended up in this segment. How'd your preparation in English and lit prepare you for teaching family and consumer sciences and health?
Wow, I've never been asked that question before, but I think that we did a lot of critical thinking in my English lit classes and a lot of kind of bouncing ideas back and forth. And I think that kind of holds true in family consumer science classes as well. I use those same skills. I also did teach English here at my small school for a couple of years as well. So whatever they need me to do, a lot of times step up to the plate and do it. I really, really enjoy teaching family consumer sciences.
So some people would say, well, kids should learn this at home, but are they?
No, I would say the majority of time, no. I mean, parents, they have a lot on their plate. They're working, a lot of times working 2-3 jobs. And sometimes those skills just kind of not on purpose, but sometimes they just don't get handed down. It's important that they learn those skills. I had last year, one of my students didn't know how to crack an egg. That one was a new one for me, but I hear that all the time. I belong to a family consumer sciences teacher Facebook group, and that is very common nowadays, that students don't know where their food comes from. They don't know how to utilize their food. And so important, especially with the obesity rates we have in today's youth, and so important for kids to know what good food is and how to prepare it.
Well, my daughter, who's a senior at Georgia Tech, is doing a research paper on what she calls food deserts, or what are called food deserts, and says that there are whole places in Atlanta that for miles you don't have a grocery store, you only have fast food. And it's causing real nutrition problems. And we know that fast food is more expensive than buying it at the grocery store and preparing it yourself. How important is this that we teach people how to prepare their own food?
Preparing your food is important, not only nutritionally, and just think of all the additives that we have in fast food and convenience foods that preparing whole foods, fruits and vegetables and meats doesn't have. And we're filling our bodies full of chemicals rather than good, nutritious foods. Students are going to benefit from that, knowing how to prepare foods from scratch so much more because of not only their health, but so many other skills are involved in that as well, as far as, like I said before, math skills and reading skills. So whole foods, just better all the way around.
So, Andrea, you've been teaching this topic for a while now. What do the kids come back and tell you when they become adults that were the most useful things that you taught them?
I teach child development too. I think I forgot to mention that at the beginning. I can't believe I forgot to mention that. It's one of my favorites. I had a student come back and tell me she became a new mom. And she said, I remember most everything that we talked about in that class. And I'm so thankful that showed me how to take care of my child's mental emotional needs, physical needs, and social needs. And that was super gratifying to hear. And I still keep in touch with that student a little bit on social media. So that was really encouraging to me.
It is. Now, what happens in schools that don't offer these topics or that say, okay, this is a vocational track, so the college prep kids don't get this stuff?
Yeah, that's a great question. In fact, I never took one single family consumer science class in high school myself. And when I got to college, I started out in a major called family and consumer journalism before I switched to English. And I was clueless. And all of these people knew a lot more than I did. So I felt, and also I had to learn this as I began to teach it. And I also, when I had children of my own, would read incessantly about how to care for my kids. And so if they're just not getting it, if they're a lot of times on the college track, or if they're in band and choir or something other they choose to take instead. One thing I do teach is health, and I try to incorporate as much nutrition in that. And that is required at our school by each student takes before they graduate. But it's difficult oftentimes for students to fit it all in. And I really have to a lot of times talk to kids one-on-one about the benefits of taking my coursework, because I think sometimes it is a little bit viewed as a vocational track. And that's kind of the purpose of my program, is to prepare students for college career right after high school, and also to help prepare them for family living and the needs that they will need to fulfill during their family life.
So, here's the challenge is so many programs emphasize exercise to deal with the obesity problem. And certainly that is part of it. But, you can overeat the amount of exercise. I mean, you can fry foods and you can do things that just,
yeah, those
you undo all that exercise,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if we're not teaching kids on what to put in their mouth and how to prepare that, we're just kind of missing both sides of this equation, aren't we?
Exactly. And advertisers are really tricky. And, part of what we do in family consumer sciences is to teach kids how to get past the advertising and really look at labels and examine the foods that they're eating for content, and as well as nutritional value and calorie count. So important for maintaining healthy weight and good health.
So, Andrea, you mentioned that there is a Facebook group for teachers of family and consumer sciences and health. Do you want to give a shout out and recommend what people should look for if they are going to be teaching these topics?
Sure. It's a closed group. You can request to be invited, but it's FCS Teachers on Facebook. And I also belong to the Iowa FCS Teachers group on Facebook as well.
And it's so helpful because many of us feel like an island in our topics.
Yes,
and so
awesome.
when we join these groups, we know we're not alone.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you, Andrea.
Well, I appreciate you talking to you today. Thank you so much.
And I would just challenge all of you schools out there. How are we preparing kids for the real world? Even if we're not offering the courses, can we have units? Can we have projects? Can we have activities? Integrate them with all of our other topics. There's so many things that we can do to make sure that kids are prepared and ready for the real world. Thanks, Andrea.
Thank you.
Today's sponsor is the U.S. Toyota Dream Car Art Contest. It opens November 1st, 2019 through January 31st, 2020. It's for youth ages 4 through 15 in the United States. In the U.S. Toyota Dream Car Art Contest, students are invited to submit hand-drawn artwork answering this question. If you could design a car to make the world a better place, what would it look like? Teachers can also download a free standards-aligned lesson plans on car design that includes both STEM concepts and art. That makes this an excellent cross-curricular project. Visit www.toyotadreamcarusa.com/coolcat. There you can download artwork guidelines, official rules, an entry form, and the lesson plan to prepare your Toyota Dream Car USA artwork submissions today. Remember, that's at toyotadreamcarusa.com/coolcat. Have the conversation about practical life sciences, life skills at your school, and see what you can add for your students. It might be a club, it might not be a class, but find a way to integrate life skills so that students can be more successful with their lives. I think it's a great time to stop and reflect on this topic.